welcome to episode 62, I think, of the Pins and Needles podcast. My name is Zoe. You can find me everywhere as Pins and Needles UK, so that's Ravelry and Instagram. If you check the drop-down box underneath, you will find links to all sorts of places, my social media, the Ravelry group, my coffee account, all that kind of thing. And timestamps as well if you want to scooch around to different sections. This is a quick and dirty podcast. I'm actually due to record on the weekend, but this weekend, the 13th and 14th of June, is the virtual Knit Tea Retreat. So I'm going to be super busy, but I didn't want to miss out on podcasting for you guys. I've got a reasonable amount of admin to do. I wanted to remind you that my Journey cowl pattern in Cartref Yarn is being released this Sunday. And if you would like a 10% discount code, there's a link underneath to my newsletter. And if you sign up before like 1 a.m. on Sunday, that's when the email's going out. So sign up before 1 a.m. on Sunday and you'll get that discount code in your inbox. It is only valid for use on Ravelry. You can buy the cowl pattern through my designer shop on Ravelry, which is also linked below. It is also available via the Cartref Yarn website, but we can't do discount codes on that. So there we go. So this weekend is the virtual Knit Tea Retreat, and it's sort of exciting and sad at the same time. It's exciting because we've got so many lovely activities going on. Lots to join in on, loads of prizes, but it's sad because we really wanted to do it in person and there were so many people who were planning on coming that I was really looking forward to seeing. So it's kind of good news, bad news, but a virtual retreat is better than no retreat at all. I will leave a link down below that will take you directly to the virtual retreat page on the website, which has got everything listed for you there. But just to give you a quick overview, on the Saturday, that's the 13th of June, we're doing 2 live sort of sit and knit group events. The first one at 11 a.m. on Instagram Live. Again, that will be on the retreat Instagram account. Oh, hello, Jim. Could you shut the door? No, it's okay. If there's banging, that's because my lovely neighbour is erecting a new fence between our gardens. It's going to be fabulous, but lots of hammering. Yeah, so on the Saturday, we're going live on Instagram at 11. There'll be a general sit and knit. We'll answer any questions and we'll talk you through some of the other events that are going on and show prizes. And then at 6 p.m, Jenny and I will be live in our new Facebook community group. That's linked off the website page underneath as well. So yeah, more sitting and knitting. And we did 2 sessions because we have quite a few international people that were hoping to join us. So we thought with an 11 a.m. and a 6 p.m, hopefully there'll be something that suits you guys. There is also, if you're used to the actual in-person events, we always have a bring and take table. And that's where anyone that's attending the retreat goes through their craft stash and brings along anything they don't want anymore. We put it all on a table, sort of vaguely sorted a bit. Everybody gets a raffle ticket, and then people come up in small groups to choose an item to take home with them. So it's a massive organised craft swap. And the virtual alternative will be people posting their unwanted items on social media using the virtual, what's the bring and take tag. I'll put it on the screen, and people will be responsible for posting out to people that are interested. There's bingo. Jenny and I came up with a bingo card, and if you complete the bingo card, you can post a comment on a social media post, and there's prizes available for that. The marketplace on the Sunday is going to be fabulous. We've got obviously Cartref Yarn and Owl About Yarn. We've got Becky of River Knits. We've got Wool is the Answer, Caroline of Colourful Creativity, Beaker Button, Dragon Hill, Jo Knit Sew, Mindful Magpie, loads. And we're organising a virtual yarn crawl Again, all of the details are on the website, but if you take part in the yarn crawl, you'll also be eligible for prizes. Quite a few of the vendors are doing Instagram live events as well. Cartref's going live at 10, but again, check the social media and the website for all of the details. So if you fancy a bit of live interaction, you can come in and join that too. So that's the virtual Knit Tea Retreat lowdown. I would love it if some of you can join us. What else? I think that's kind of it for admin. Should we get on with some knitting? I think we probably should. I'm not terribly organised. I kind of just randomly threw stuff in a basket. Because I've got a to-do list as long as my arm for the retreat, I am, not very organised. Let's pop that down there. Okay, first up, finished objects. Yay! I finished my honeybee dance socks. This is a pattern by Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade, and I knit it out of Owl About Yarn Sparkle Owl in the colourway Rumplestiltskin. I was really pleased to have finished these. They were a really enjoyable knit, but I just wanted to get them done. They've been on the needles for a while. I even took the time to block them properly for photographs on my project page. I don't normally bother blocking socks. Oh, if I hold it up the other way. There's the pattern. So you can see the little bees and honeycomb cables and twisted stitches. So now I've shown you, I can wear them, because although the weather has been beautiful in Wales, just this last week it's gone very windy and grey and wet, which is not so good for drying knitted objects, or indeed for the laundry. I don't know quite what's happened, but suddenly I've got laundry halfway up my walls. So that's my only finished object. That was nice and brief. Works in progress. I talked to you last time about wanting to just knit a 4-ply mohair held together jumper, and I was umming and ahhing about what pattern to go for. And in the end, I went with the Cosy Classic Raglan by Jessie Maed Designs. And I've made some reasonable progress. I haven't knit with fingering and mohair held together yet, so I had no idea what my tension would look like. So I did a tension square, or tension tube, because this is knit in the round from the top down. And the recommended needle size is 4.5mm, which I started with, and I really liked the fabric, but I was way off gauge. So I swapped to 5mm needles and kept knitting the same tension tube. And I still wasn't getting gauge. I was closer, but not exact, and the fabric just looked a little loose. I know it's going to be super warm because of the mohair, but I did want a decent fabric, and on a 5mm it was just a little bit too gappy for me, even with the fuzz of the mohair to fill in the gaps. So in the end, I decided I'd stick with the 4.5mm needles, and I found the stitch circumference, once you've separated for body and sleeves, I found the body stitch counts and worked out what the circumference would be with my own gauge on 4.5mm needles. And if I had got pattern gauge, I would have been knitting the 5th size, but because I wasn't, I'm actually knitting the 7th size in order to get the same chest circumference as the 5th size. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. Let me just arrange these things so I don't lose my stitches. And this is how far I've got. Look at the fuzzy marvellousness of it. Look at it. I'm knitting this in Posh Yarn's, what am I knitting this in? Martha sock, which is 80% merino, 10% cashmere and 10% nylon in the colourway Somebody Needs Their Nap. And it's this beautiful grey lilac-y colour. And I'm holding it doubled with Rowan Kidsilk Haze in shade 00678. And what the Kidsilk Haze has done, if I hold it all up together, is it's really brought out the purple of the yarn. It's absolutely gorgeous. I'm loving it. The only thing I'm a bit cross with myself about is I had to do the neck band ribbing on 3mm needles. And I didn't have a really short fixed circular in that size. And I decided to magic loop, which is fine. But I should have read ahead in the pattern because this is the front of the jumper. And can you see just here? That's where I swapped between the front and the back needles, and you can see it. It's looser. If I stretch the collar out a bit, it's far less noticeable. So I imagine that once I've blocked the finished item, you won't notice it. But I was a bit cross with myself. If I'd read ahead in the pattern, I could have worked out which would have been the front or the back, and I could have rearranged my stitches, but it doesn't really matter. Yeah, I whipped through the ribbing. My endless ribbing knitting still isn't finished, obviously. And there's a short row section just to raise the back neck. It's hard to tell when it's scrunched up on a needle, but you can see the side facing you is the front and the side facing me is the back. So you can see that there's a good inch and a bit of extra depth there. So I've done all the short rows. It uses German short rows, which I have done before, but only once. So I had to look things up a bit there. And the raglan increases was a new technique to me. How tidy is that? Can you see? Just a line of a single elongated stitch. It's written on the pattern as a left lifted increase or a right lifted increase. And for me, that usually means you just lift the bar between two stitches and knit it through the front or through the back, depending. But this is a different technique where rather than picking up the bar, you're picking up the left or right leg of a stitch below the working row. So it's much easier to do than the previous increases I've tried, and it is super tidy. So I'm really pleased with how it's coming out, and it's visible, but there's no gaps, and it's actually quite a nice design feature, I think. So now I've got it to the stage where I am just knitting around and around, doing the raglan increases, and it's basically endless stocking stitch, which is my happy place at the moment. I think quite a few of us are struggling with headspace and attention span and also struggling to find time to knit. So that was the other reason I wanted to finish my honeybee dance socks, because they were quite involved. And this is just what I need. This is just beautiful stocking stitch. I'm using my favourite sort of markers for the raglan increases, just a metal ring with a bead on. But for my beginning of round marker, I've got my glass sheep stitch marker that was given to me by Caroline of Colourful Creativity. So yes, I'm really enjoying this. It reminds me of my friends because the stitch markers from Caroline, and I bought the Kidsilk Haze from Angela of Yarn and Yarns, so that's nice. Yeah, so decent progress on that, and that's pretty much the only thing I'm working on at the moment. I have got a new sock pattern in the works. I'll be releasing that as a free pattern for Cartref Yarn, and what I was going to do is knit one sock of each size, rather than 3 pairs. I'll just knit one sock of each size and then have them nicely blocked for pictures and also for the samples for the booth. So I finished the largest size, but it's a design, so I'll show you that when it's ready for release. But yes, soothing stocking stitch is where I'm at the moment. I'm looking very purple. I've just realised I've got my purple hourglass throw, my purple Owl About Yarn boxy, and my purple jumper. Bit of a purple patch, I'd say. Sewing section. Now, last time I talked about sewing, I showed you a pattern, a PDF pattern that I had bought, and I was overwhelmed with enthusiasm and was wondering if I could maybe get it made in time from start to finish in 2 weeks flat to show you modelled on this week's podcast. That didn't happen. But I do have adjacent sewing content, so I'm going to call my beautiful assistant to join us. If you bring the little stool, and I can't reach the pattern and the thing.
Okay.
Can you reach the thing and the pattern?
Yeah.
So I've got the dog lying on the floor, I've got my laptop, my light, my tripod, and I'm just sending Jocelyn to get the last couple of bits.
These?
Yes, I can reach everything else. What? Mind the cable.
Yeah. Okay, I apologise for my hair.
So Jocelyn is doing textiles GCSE, and whilst the work is still coming in from the school for her to do, obviously they're not doing any practical work. So I said, well, I have a sewing machine, what would you like to make? And what did you decide you wanted to make?
Dungarees.
Dungarees. Show them the pattern.
We got a Tilly in the buttons pattern.
It's called Mila. And it says on the front, I spotted
for confident beginners.
Confident beginners. So we felt that was kind of, maybe that was our wheelhouse, didn't we?
We're confident beginners.
We're confident beginners.
I've made a stocking that Nathan has, since the stocking I made in textiles was really ugly.
Right.
And I gave it to Nathan. And I've made the sleeves of a hoodie, and I've cut out all the things for the hoodie, but it's still in school.
Yeah, that was the project you were all working on at school, wasn't it? That was a shame, that. And I said, oh, do you want to carry on making a hoodie? Because we could order more. But you were like, no, dungarees.
Yeah, dungarees.
So you've worked from sewing patterns before, but not much.
No. The only thing we've done with sewing patterns is Miss gave us some like pieces of paper with with the things already cut out, so like a large and a medium and a small, so you could like pick the size you wanted, and they were like in pieces of paper, like A4 paper.
But I taught Jocelyn how to trace off pattern pieces, and we were thinking about if we wanted to make adjustments, didn't we? So the pattern, can I just pinch that a sec? Oh, there's not a lady. Oh, there is a picture of the lady in it. If you see from the pattern picture, is that going to focus? There you go. They're actually quite slim fitting, and Joss decided that she would prefer a slightly wider leg. So I showed you how to grade out upper size for the leg pieces. We held them up to you to estimate length, and we think they'll probably be the right length.
Yeah, and I like them. I like things long and baggy, so I can cuff them.
Yeah.
Makes me look cool.
Yeah. So we got as far as tracing out the pattern pieces.
Oh, I forgot we sewed a pocket.
Can you remember what this is called?
A pocket.
No, when you make a practice version.
A mock-up.
A toile.
Oh. You never told me.
So we raided my stash of old duvet covers, and we got quite, you got quite far. You did all the sewing, didn't you?
Yeah. I think I'm a pretty cool sewer. And we put my phone in it to test it.
Yeah.
And I can say that it is a pocket that can hold a phone.
Yeah. We could make the pocket a little bigger if you wanted on the final version.
No,
a bit taller.
Having like a massive thing at the front.
Oh, that's true. There's a front pocket. Yeah. So yeah, we've got as far as attaching the pocket, button tabs, because it's going to be buttonholes.
I know. Can't wait.
Yeah, we're going to practice those. And you wanted dungaree clips rather than buttons for the top. So we ordered the pattern and the dungaree clips from the Tilly and the Buttons website.
Did we order the buttons from Tilly and the Buttons?
Just the dungaree clips.
Yeah.
And we ordered
buttons off of some.
We ordered the buttons from the same place as we ordered the fabric from, which is Minerva Crafts.
Yes.
But this is a stretch denim in a mid blue, because that's the colour you wanted. We haven't done anything except wash it yet, but I thought I'd wave it at you. And you had an idea for the front pocket, didn't you?
I really wanted to try and get back into embroidery, since I think it's quite fun, and I wanted kind of like a bee thing, so I'm like testing out different types of embroidery things, and I've made a bee and
hold it a bit closer.
Yeah, and a sunflower It's going to be a sunflower, but I haven't finished it yet.
Yeah, so this is some of Jocelyn's old jeans that she's grown out of, and this was a couple of weeks ago, and you brought me some clothes down that you'd grown out of, and you said, oh, what do you want me to do with these? And most of them just went in the bag for charity, but I said, oh, well, cut the legs off the jeans and put them in my bits and bobs box because they'll be useful for patching. And then we decided to do this, and you wanted to practice your embroidery, and I was like,
yeah,
we have old trouser legs.
We have trousers.
So you just freehand drew the design on, didn't you?
Yeah, I just found some stuff online and was like, that kind of looks cool. But I'm kind of like thinking, Winnie the Pooh. I like Winnie the Pooh. So like Winnie the Pooh on the pocket, and then like.
Well, Winnie the Pooh and bees goes well together because of honey pots.
Honey. But we have to spell honey wrong, like his pot.
Huny.
Yeah.
So I've ordered from Amazon a set of embroidery silks because you just had a rummage in my thread box, didn't you?
Yeah.
And you used the top stitching thread that we need for the trousers to use for the bee. So we've got some of those coming, and we've got plenty more fabric so you can practice. But I think it'd be quite good, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I'm going to be really busy over the next few days with the virtual retreat, so hopefully we can get back to it next week.
I can try and do the mock-up by myself. I'm just going to not gonna
We'll see how that goes. So yeah, that is my sewing content. It's Jocelyn's sewing content.
Actually, you were talking to me about sewing a dress yesterday. We watched the sewing bee. We've been watching the sewing bee.
Yes, I love watching the sewing bee.
It's really fun. Conrad joined in the first 2 times, and he watched one of them. And I think we went upstairs, and he went, "I'm going to become a pro." So I'm like, yeah.
Well, I feel vindicated because when I was talking about my dress pattern last week, I said I showed them the fabric I was going to use, which was an old tablecloth, and then this week's sewing bee,
used the tablecloth.
What do they call the challenge? Not reimagining. Upcycling challenge, or what do they call transformation challenge. Everyone got an old tablecloth, and I was like, yes. But I was using tablecloths before it was cool.
Theirs was a circle, and yours is more of a
I think they were different. I think some were round ones and some were, but yeah, mine's a honking great big rectangle.
The circle trousers.
Yeah, they were quite cool.
I like the kimono as well.
The kimono was very clever. So yeah, I think I will get back to my sewing dress after we've done hers because there's only so much space on the table.
Yeah.
And so much spare time.
And only one sewing machine.
Yeah.
And only so much sanity left.
Yes, sanity is
on the
thin.
brink of extinction.
It's thin at the moment. Well, thank you very much for coming on.
You're welcome.
Say bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Do I just leave now?
Yeah, you can just go and sit over there. Okay. Jocelyn's been listening to me podcast the whole time. She's just sat on the sofa.
I've been trying not to sneeze. I really need to sneeze.
Max is sneezing today. I don't know what's the matter with you all.
Okay.
Okay. Acquisition section. I've got a couple of things to show you, one of which I've been balancing on my toe and trying not to kick. I haven't actually managed much spinning in this last couple of weeks. I've managed a little bit, but not very much. So I wasn't going to show you partial bobbins of stuff. But I have treated myself to a second-hand tensioned Lazy Kate. This is it. It's going to be hard to see. But what you've got is a tensioning knob here with fishing wire on, basically. I haven't got it set up right. So what you would do is, when you're ready to ply, you would thread the fishing line through the grooves of these bobbins here. And there's a spring at the other end. And what I was finding with my old Lazy Kate, the tower one, the bobbins were spinning too fast and it was plying back on, the singles were plying back on themselves before I was getting to ply them using my hands, and it was a bit of a pain. And also it's quite unstable. It's 3 bobbins stacked on top of each other. This one obviously sits flat and it's got nice rubber feet on the bottom, and with the tensioning adjustment on it, plying will be much simpler and I won't get that twisting back on itself that was driving me potty. I bought this one second hand, knew they're over £50, but I found this from it was like a British marketplace group on Ravelry. And I like buying equipment second hand. It's usually in fantastic condition, and it saves you a ton of money. And I like thinking about who else has used it and what's been done with it. So yes, I treated myself to a secondhand tensioned Lazy Kate. My original one I'm going to be dropping off to Angela probably next week. She's got one that she's sort of half using with old knitting needles rather than proper pins, so she can have my old one. The other thing I treated myself to, absolutely for ages, I've been meaning to sign up to become a mill member of John Arbon ever since I bought my wheel secondhand a couple of years ago, a year ago. I've been meaning to get around to it. For anybody that doesn't know, John Arbon Textiles is one of the very last surviving small-scale worsted spinning mills in the UK. He's based down in, I want to say, Devon. And they have the most beautiful range of British yarns. Quite a lot is sourced directly from within the UK, and they use lots of local, wasn't it Devon Blue Faced or something like that? They do source some from the Falkland Islands. I think they're Corriedale, and some of their merino comes from there. Anyway, if you sign up to become a mill member, there's all sorts of benefits, but you get a little goodie bag. You can choose a knitting goodie bag or a spinning one. I went for the knitting one, and as well as the little goodie bag, you get a full skein of their Knit by Numbers double knit, which I'm sure you have heard of. This is a 100% merino yarn, and the whole point of the Knit by Numbers is he dyes full gradients of every yarn in every colour, so that if you want a very gradual fade or you want a wide selection of colours in the same yarn for colour work, Knit by Numbers is your go-to. This is 100% pure Falklands merino, organically farmed, and this is KBN 09, so that's Knit by Numbers number 9, and it's this beautiful chocolatey milk chocolate shade of brown, which is gorgeous. You also get a little mini, and this is their Yarnadelic range, and it's in the colourway Black Gold of the Sun, and it's a sport or heavy 4-ply, and it's a mill member special. So when you become a mill member, there's a secret mill members page, and you often get exclusive colourways of yarn and fibre. So this is sort of an oil slicky green, but if you look closely, is it focusing? There we go. There's actually bits of blue and red and yellow in there. And I think what I want to do, actually, and they sell tops of this colourway as well, so I am very tempted at some point in the future to buy enough to spin myself yarn for a jumper, but I don't know how long it's going to be around. I need to investigate. You can choose one of their annuals. I chose issue 1, but there's also an issue 2, and there's information about their yarn ranges. So it tells you there about the Harvest Hues range. There's some knitting patterns in here and some crochet patterns. And if you've heard of Katie Greenbean podcast, she's done some little puzzles in it. So I just hide the pattern information. She's done a little spot the difference down the bottom. And there's another illustration she's done where you have to find their mill cat, Mr. Spoke. So somewhere in this beautiful picture, there are 10 little pussycats for you to find, but the artwork is just beautiful. I got 2 member and John Arbon Textiles, and my membership card is actually a needle gauge. It says John Arbon on it, and it's got my mill member number on the back. So if I order on the website, or if I buy from them at a show, or if I go to one of their mill weekends, that gets me a nice discount for life. So I was really pleased with that, and they're a fabulous business, you know, championing British wool, retaining some sort of level of industry in the UK. And they are very careful to ensure that the fibre they purchase is mulesing free. So yeah, they're all round a really great company. So that was my other treat. In terms of shop news for Cartref, we've got lots of stock in there at the moment. The new thing that we'll be uploading for the Knit Tea Retreat marketplace on Sunday is that we have put, or we will be putting up, some 20-gram minis of the 4-ply yarn. They normally come in 100-gram skeins, and a lot of people have been asking us for minis, partly so if they just want to sort of sample a bit of the yarn, or if they want to use it for colourwork yokes, if you don't want to have to buy a whole skein for a contrast colour when you only need a bit. We have limited quantities of those. We have 10 mini skeins of each colour in the 4-ply available, so if you want them, make sure you get there quick. It is something that we will be trying to keep in stock, but it is time consuming to make the minis, to wind them off, so we will do as much as we can and try and keep them in the shop as often as possible. I'll put a picture of them up here so you can see what they look like. As well as my Journey cowl pattern that we'll be releasing, Jenny has got a pattern as well. She designed in the 4-ply yarn and came up with her Welsh perspective shawl. Again, I'll put a picture up here. This looks like such a fun knit. It's a combination of short rows, knitted welts, and some simple lace at the wider end of the shawl. So there's always something new and interesting going on. Jenny's used Naturiol for the main colour and Flamme for the contrast. But what would be lovely is to see it knit up with the welts in different colours. So you could use scraps, or you could use a couple of the minis if you pick some of those up from the shop. So that's a really fun knit. And now, because of the whole coronavirus thing, although I've seen it, she sort of held it up from 6 feet away. I haven't had a go to try it on, which I would love to do. But yeah, that will be available for the shop as well on Sunday. And we'll be going live on our Cartref Yarn Instagram account at 10 AM on the Sunday if you wanted to come and join us. And if you had any questions or anything like that, there's a post on the Cartref Instagram feed. You can leave your questions down below there. Finally, there's just a bit of chat. Hey Jim, you all right, buddy? He's queuing up ready for his walk. He wants to go now. Yeah, honestly, it's been a hard couple of weeks since we last spoke. I don't know if it's just that it's been 3 months of lockdown now or quite what, but yeah, it's been hard. The school have got a little bit more organised with the work they're sending through. Jocelyn in particular is in the part way through her GCSE course, so she has quite a lot to get through. So we've both been sitting down at the dining room table and I've been helping her with that. One of the other kids has been unwell, so I've had GP appointments, which is a bit of a nightmare at the moment, and antibiotics on a timed schedule and all that sort of thing. And in sort of good news, bad news, Dave has gone back to work 3 days a week. Since the Welsh Government said you could meet other households outside with social distancing, he's been able to go back to personal training at the gym because we have a back garden. And there's several trainers that work out of the gym, so we've had to allocate separate days for each PT so that we keep everybody safe and the equipment cleaning can be done properly. So Dave is in Monday, Wednesday and Friday. All of his PT clients have been so excited to get back, and it's really lovely, obviously, to have income again. But because he's only got these 3 days, his 3 allocated days to fit them all in, he's working 10 or 11 hours because the start and end of each day, of course, is cleaning, plus in between clients is cleaning. So when we were both at home full time, we were both super busy. Literally took 2 of us all of our time to get through the kids' schoolwork, the cooking, the cleaning, the business work, all this kind of thing. And now for 3 days a week, there's just one of me trying to do all of those things. So I'm sort of, I think I've been feeling it. And I've had a couple of slightly miserable days. But I just knocked a few things off my to-do list and tried to give myself a break. And I'm really looking forward to the virtual retreat this weekend. That will mark the end, obviously, of this particular workload for the moment. And I'm really looking forward to seeing some of my friends online and just having a bit of a knit and trying to enjoy the crafting side of things and not just the endless organisation and social media of it. So I think probably that's it. I have got to head off, get this edited and uploaded, and then I have more retreat work to do. I've got to buy some cake so that I've got cake to eat during the Instagram and Facebook lives. I was hoping to make some, but I'm just not going to have the time. And I also need to sort out all the prizes that are up for grabs over the weekend as well. So I don't know why I'm still sat here talking to you. I've got stuff to be getting on with. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I do hope some of you will come and join us this weekend for the virtual Knit Tea Retreat. I know you're all over the world, but hopefully there's some time slots that mean you can come and join us. And if you can't, I will see you in another 2 weeks. Bye.